How was the party? I wasn't invited.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited.
Since the launch of its first season all the way back in September of 2003, it didn't take long for the Ellen DeGeneres show to become a staple of daytime television. With ratings at an all-time low due to a number of unsettling reasons, the comedian-turned-talk show host has decided that season 19 will be its last, with the franchise finally coming to an end in 2022. But what are those unsettling reasons that have caused Ellen to have to end things prematurely, and what will she do once it's all over? Well, whether you are a fan of the series or just want to know more about the future of this icon of the industry, you've come to the right place, as we're about to take a deep dive into Ellen's decision to end her show before its 20th season. So strap yourselves in and get ready for a shocking ride, as things are about to get interesting. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on any of the new videos that we post. Bad news for fans. For those of you who aren't in the know, the Ellen DeGeneres show is essentially a talk show aimed at the promotion of celebrities, internet stars, and sometimes even billionaire investors. Hosted by the one and only Ellen DeGeneres, who, funnily enough, actually got her start doing stand-up comedy. The show has become known for its 5-second dance parties and ability to give the audience a glimpse into the true personalities of their favorite celebrities. Using the skills she acquired on the comedy scene, Ellen uses humor to make her guests feel comfortable, and then proceeds to interview them as if she was nothing less than a long-lost friend. At least that's what the synopsis of the show has stated for years. And while Ellen might have adopted the attitude towards the beginning of the show's runtime, this is clearly no longer the case. Just take a look at recent clips from the show, and it will become clear that Ellen has, to a certain extent, become bored with her job. Her stand-up skills are no longer used to make guests feel at home, but rather incredibly awkward, which is what her audience has learned to feed on. Suffice to say, this has resulted in some of the most terrifying moments for both Ellen and a select few of her guests, which we'll most certainly get to a little bit later. What is truly important about this change is that fans no longer see Ellen as someone relatable. In fact, she can come off as quite mean, especially considering some of the rumors that have been floating around about her. Last year was an especially bad time for the star, who saw her show come under fire for some unsettling truths revolving around bad attitudes and, even worse, sexual misconduct on set. Ellen then made another poor decision by getting rid of the majority of her staff just after the onset of the coronavirus pandemic, using temporary workers instead to film the show at her luxurious mansion. Mind you, this was amidst claims that she had not only suspended the rest of her workforce, but refused to pay to keep them on the back burner. It goes without saying that fans were not pleased with fans' behavior of hers, calling her out for not really knowing how tough it has been for ordinary people through this economic crisis. All these things considered, Ellen decided that enough was enough, announcing on May 12, 2021 that the Ellen DeGeneres show will be coming to an end with the season 19 finale. This didn't stop critics of the talk show host from coming up with their own conclusion though, which is that the franchise was actually canceled. Ellen addressed these rumors of cancellation by stating that the show wasn't coming to an end because of any of the malicious rumors that had popped up the previous year. In fact, the decision to bring the talk show to an end was actually a long time coming. In her own words, "I'm a creative person, and when you're a creative person, you constantly need to be challenged. I'm just needing something to challenge me. And as great as the show is, and as fun as it is, it's just not a challenge anymore." So, according to Ellen, the announcement that her show is coming to an end had absolutely nothing to do with the massive drop in ratings, allegations of sexual misconduct, claims of poor management of employees, and of course, terrible handling of guests on set. And you are of course completely within your right to believe her, but after becoming one of the most hated celebrities in the world at the moment, we think that the show has just become too much of a burden for the host. Too much has happened to paint her name in a negative light, which is likely going to put her out of work for a solid few years. That bad, you may ask? Well, let's take a look at some of these allegations and have you decide for yourself. Ellen's treatment of guests on set. First things first. Ever since Ellen began to present herself as a loving and interested host, rumors have been floating around the internet regarding her terrible conduct on set. But since rumors should always be taken with a pinch of salt, fans gave her the benefit of the doubt. That is, until Nikki Tutorials decided to break her silence regarding her treatment on the show. To those of you who don't know, Nikki Tutorials is a breakout beauty YouTuber who, at that point, had just come out as a member of the LGBTQ+ community, which landed her a spot on Ellen's show, which had always been pride-friendly. And although things seemed to finish up without a hitch, Nikki released a video shortly thereafter indicating how terrible her time on set was. According to her, she had been greeted by an overworked intern and wasn't even allowed to meet Ellen until her interview actually began on air. She was also refused access to her closet bathroom, which had been set aside for the Jonas Brothers, who were obviously considered to be more important than her. This caused a number of fans to look back at other interviews to see whether Ellen was truly the monster rumors had been painting her to be. Ellen goes viral. And with some solid sleuthing made simple by the show actually releasing some clips on YouTube, It didn't take long for critics and fans alike to make Ellen go viral, but not for the reasons she would have preferred. Among these clips was one where she made fun of Sofia Vergara's accent, asking her straight up whether she can actually speak English properly or not. Then came the infamous clip where she tried to berate Dakota Johnson for not inviting her to her 30th birthday party. Not one to take this joke lying down though, Dakota mentioned that Ellen had done this the previous year as well, and that she had actually invited Ellen to her birthday. She asked an executive producer to confirm that she had been invited, and then sheepishly claimed that she must have been doing something on that day. As it turns out, she was actually hanging out with George W. Bush, who Ellen fans despise due to his historically improper treatment of members of the LGBTQ+ community. And these are just a few of the viral clips that started to paint Ellen as a less than savory character. The virality of the Buzzfeed article. The true nail in the coffin of the show was the release of a Buzzfeed news article in July of last year titled "Former Employees Say Ellen's Be Kind talk show mantra masks a toxic work culture." As the title suggests, this article included backed up allegations that Ellen treated her staff like dirt, not even allowing staff members to talk to her unless a member of the executive staff was standing alongside her. Allegations were also made against members of the executive staff who had apparently been treating employees in sexually inappropriate ways for years, all under the nose of everyone's favorite daytime television host. Suffice to say, her refusal to talk to staff without executive producers around made it impossible to report this behavior to her, and the sexual misconduct was not merely in the form of jokes. One of the biggest allegations was lodged against head writer and executive producer of the show, Kevin Lehman, who bore the brunt of the Warner Media investigation to follow. According to allegations, Lehman had apparently asked a former employee back in 2013 to perform sexual acts on him in the bathroom, becoming angry when the employee refused. Another employee corroborated the story by insisting that, in a separate incident, Lehman had grabbed the genitals of another employee without his consent. These weren't the only instances of sexual misconduct, though, with a slew of other employees stepping forward to testify to the fact that Lehman has made inappropriate and sexually explicit comments in the past. These comments were either accompanied by a pointing at or fondling of the sexual organs of employees. And while Lehman denied these allegations, stating that no employee had ever complained to HR about him, the evidence and corroboration was far too damaging to ignore. Similar allegations were made against Ed Gavin and Jonathan Norman, all of whom were promptly fired from the show. The future of Ellen DeGeneres. Since Ellen is currently one of the most hated celebrities in the history of the world, it makes sense that she is bringing her talk show to an end before she actually starts to lose money with this investment. After treating her staff like dirt, allowing a hostile work environment to develop, treating her lesser-known guests like second-hand citizens, and even handling her most famous guests with disrespect, we have to conclude that Ellen's time in the spotlight is finished. She may be able to take on voice acting roles like she did with Finding Dory in the future, but we doubt fans and critics alike will forget about what she has done anytime soon. As such, she'll likely just be taking a very long break from the spotlight. What do you think? Be sure to let us know in the comment section below.